Many thanks to the host and hostesses who have made this possible, and thanks for squeezing us in at the last minute. So, a little bit about FS. So we're essentially an income shop. We're domiciled in Philadelphia, been in business about 13 years, $24 billion of assets under management. The strategy I would like to introduce you to today is an income strategy, as Dan said. It is similar in some respects to what David talked about, so we're going to continue the mortgage theme. So what I thought we'd do is really talk about what, how, and why. So the what. What is this? This is a commercial mortgage strategy that allows you to be the lender. The how is we facilitate this through a REIT structure. And the why is, as was pointed out earlier by Dan, it's an income strategy. The yield in this particular fund is 6.1%. That income is paid monthly, and it is a fully earned income. So let's just kind of back up a minute and think about the simple basics of real estate. Really, two ways you can own real estate. You can purchase residential real estate, you can purchase investment property. For the sake of this presentation, we're solely going to talk about investment property. There are many different types of investment property. We're, in this fund, highlighting offices. I don't think that works. We're highlighting offices and multifamily. So about 82% of the holdings in this fund are either office properties or multifamily. There is a sprinkling of both hospitality and retail in the fund. So where do we fall on the risk-reward scale? We are right between core and value add. I'd like to give you a quick case study just to help you understand how all this works. So about 60 days ago, we did a loan in Memphis, Tennessee. Property appraised for $58 million. If I can ask you to picture this property. So it's a 3-story office complex, sits on about 30 acres. Building is 17 years old. As we say, it needed a little lipstick. The occupancy had started to fall. Occupancy had been running in the 90% range and had fallen down to about 77%. Southwind, the property owner, came to us, wanted to borrow $34 million. If you're doing the math on that, that's about a 65% loan to value ratio, which is right in our wheelhouse. So the way we structured that deal, we did a 2-year primary term with a 1-year option. It's LIBOR plus 5. So that means our income on that deal is 8%. And again, I would ask you to remember, our collateral is worth $58 million. So just simply put, we have $34 million in the outstanding loan, backed by $58 million in property value. And that's a typical deal for us. There are 14 holdings in this fund, and all 14 holdings are structured basically the same way. I would add that everything we do is floating rate. I mentioned LIBOR. We use the 90-day LIBOR. So this investment makes for a really good inflation hedge. So how does the income component work? Well, a very simple look at how any income strategy works in real estate. You have a tenant who pays rent. Property owners with that rent then pay their mortgage payment. They cover the property expenses, and whatever's left over goes in their pocket. The key point here is the mortgage payment is paid first. So this is what we call a senior secured strategy. We have a senior secured position at all times. And furthermore, we're talking about safety. For those of you who would recognize this, what we call the capital stack, the orange is where we live. So we're paid first. We have a senior secured position. What that simply means is if this note were to go, we'll just use the Southwind example. If this note were to go into default, we have first rights on the property. So we, as they say, we go get their stuff. Why do we like this space? Well, it's proven to be a great business model, and as David was pointing out with some of his numbers, this is a big space. I mean, it's the market opportunity is $3 trillion. Over the next 3 years, there's $1.2 trillion of balloon notes coming due. So we really like the trends that we're seeing in commercial mortgages. And also, over the last 20 years, if you had just invested in commercial mortgages, your return would have been 6.5%. So a yield that we're very comfortable with and really like the risk-reward profile. Speaking of risk-reward profile, if you're wondering how does this strategy compare to, say, equity REITs or stocks or even government bonds, so you see equity REITs over the past 20 years have performed very well, about a 9% clip. Standard deviation on that 9% return is, as you can see by the horizontal bar at the bottom, standard deviations in the low 20s. If you look at stocks have performed well, standard deviation in the teens. This strategy that I'm presenting to you right now, we're looking at about a 6% return with a 3% standard deviation. So, how do you invest in this? We're kind of coming back full circle here, the what, how, and why. You invest in this using a REIT structure. So there are 3 different ways you can participate in real estate. One is a REIT, one is a limited partnership, and thirdly, direct investments. If you'll notice, the other 2 options provide very little liquidity. One of the outstanding features I think you'll like about this is we do offer monthly liquidity. Now there are some parameters involved, but unlike these other 2 options, the client can get their money back, and that's a monthly feature. So in sum, and I hope I'm under 10 minutes, Kara, thank you. I would just like to ask you to consider this as you study your income options. And as we said earlier, the what is, it's a commercial real estate strategy that allows you to be the lender. The how is, you're executing this using a REIT structure. And the why is to diversify away from equity markets and also generate a really nice income of 6.1%. So with that, Dan, I will turn it back over to you.